Center of Excellence is an international entity. We have 33 participating states, and we're working closely together with the European Union and with NATO to support the countries and those organizations to counter hybrid threats.
Che cosa si intende quando parliamo di minacce ibride?
It's a combination of different threats against our society. Mostly when we talk about adversaries, we're talking about Russia on the first hand and China on the other hand, but there are other potentially malign actors as well. So we're talking about their activities, trying to influence our countries, trying to exploit the vulnerabilities in our countries and our approaches to security. So it could be cyber attacks against us. It could be disinformation operations. It could be also the coercive use of military means. It could be economic coercion and things like that. With every type of these threats, they are aiming at the vulnerabilities in our societies and at the democratic structures of our societies. So we need to understand these threats in a very broad sense. We need to understand how they are related to each other, and we need to develop a new mindset in our countries. We need to develop new capabilities in our countries to be alert, to be aware of these threats, and then to find new, better, more effective ways in fighting, in countering these threats.
Qual è stata la logica delle minacce ibride nel corso della pandemia?
So during the pandemic, we saw, of course, a lot of disinformation operations aimed at sowing instability in our societies, creating alternative narratives, questioning the work of the government, which of course serves to distract the population. It serves to create all kinds of intensified polarization in our societies. So I think that was an obvious example. But there are other things that we can learn from the pandemic as well, including on how to better act jointly within our governments and also together with the private sector and the civic society on how to counter different types of threats.
Succede la stessa cosa per la guerra in Ucraina?
There we see a number of different hybrid means of influencing Ukraine, which were already ongoing since 2014 and even before that. But now, since 2022, we have seen a conventional military attack. But that came on top of all the other things that Russia was aiming at Ukraine, including the destabilizing attempts by disinformation, by cyber attacks. So on top of all that, there was also a conventional military attack. But the fact is that Russia is continuing to use all the different instruments of power to try to influence and coerce Ukraine. And not just Ukraine, but it's using a lot of these tools and activities also towards other European countries.
E qual è il ruolo dei media nelle minacce ibride?
Well, especially as we talk about the information domain and disinformation, media is playing a critical role in making sure that there is an open, vibrant media environment, that there is a fact-checking taking place to try to weed out the possible disinformation. And just in general, making sure that the population understands the threat environment we're living, understands the different types of threat vectors, and continues to be active citizens in a democratic society. The media has a crucial role to play there.
In quali altri paesi il Centro europeo di eccellenza per contrastare le minacce ibride è attivo per bloccare la disinformazione e la misinformazione?
So the role of our center is mostly to support and build capacity in our participating states. So the 33 European countries and the US and Canada. But in order to do that, we also need to understand what's happening beyond Europe, what's happening in countries like Belarus and also in outside Europe. But the focus is mainly to try to understand the threat and try to give some tools, give some ideas to the governments of our participating states, and they will be then taking those with them and instituting new means to counter the hybrid threats.
Com'è che l'intelligenza artificiale può cambiare le regole?
Well, artificial intelligence is a great example of the role of technology more broadly. Obviously, it's a huge opportunity for us, but it's also a threat. And the more we are dependent on technologies, the more there is what we call attack surface, which the adversaries could exploit. And I think artificial intelligence is one of the bigger ones in the sense that it cuts across the different domains. Obviously, it has a huge importance for the information domain, but it will be part of the threat environment also in other domains. The manifestations of the use of artificial intelligence that we're seeing now are mostly happening in the information domain, whether it's the use of the AI to create disinformation content, including deepfakes. But it's a fact that we will see a lot of new ways of influencing with AI in the other domains in the future.